If your legs are not kicking well, they're creating more resistance than propulsion, and you can have a perfect technique and you will still be slow, no matter what. There are 3 main reasons of sinking legs, and today I will explain exactly why it's happening, how to fix it, and what are the fastest way to do that too. My name is Andre, I was a World Championship Finalist and a World Junior Champion, and right now we have one of the biggest swimming communities in the world where we have our own training app and we help people all around the world to get better at swimming. And after doing online video stroke analysis on a daily basis with our subscribers, I've noticed that sinking legs is the most common thing that slows them down. So let's go straight into it. The first reason has nothing to do with the way how you swim in the water or the way how you do your kicking particularly. And even worse, you cannot also fix it in the water. And it's all about your ankle flexibility. And it actually happens more to male adults who don't have a background from swimming. They used to play football, they used to run, and their ankles are just not flexible. Because we want to have our ankles like a fin of the fish. We want to keep them relaxed and they want to be flat like this. Because no matter how hard you will kick, you will still not create any propulsion, and even most likely it will create extra resistance because your ankles will be like anchors. And the fix here, like I've said, is not in a pull. What you have to do, and it's one of the most simplest exercises that you can do all around the world, and you can do it on a couch, you can do it after the training, it's a seated ankle stretch, where you put your arms behind you, you sit on your ankles, and you just start lifting your knees. You can lift your knees one by one, or you can even lay down on your back and you will feel a big stretch in your quads too. But the main priority should be your ankles. Myself and I was swimming with different coaches, but we all preach the same thing. Doesn't matter what you do, especially after the training, it will be perfect if you can stretch your ankles. Try to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day and you will feel a phenomenal results around in a 2 months time, because you'll feel a big stretch. And the thing is, myself, I have very flexible ankles, and it's all because of this drill, because I would spend 5 to 10 minutes from the very young age on a daily basis. And again, like I've said, you can do it anywhere in the world. You finish the dinner, you can stretch your ankles. You've come to the training before for 10 minutes, stretch your ankles for 5 minutes. After the training, when you're in the gym, you can do it anywhere. It doesn't take too much time. You can do many things after or at the same time, and it will definitely help you. You don't need to do any fancy exercises, because this is the fastest way how you can improve your ankle flexibility. And it's also very, very important. The second reason of sinking legs is all about the balance. For example, if you lift your head just by a little bit up, when you breathe, your legs will sink even more. Because remember, if you lift your head, your legs go down. If you lift your hip, you will create resistance with your upper body, but your lower body will also sink that way. So you have to be very, very careful with it. So our goal here is very simple. When you swim, try to keep back of the head always dry. Of course, when you breathe, you have to rotate and it will get wet, but when you do not breathe, keep it dry so it will be in a perfect position. We don't want to look straight down to the bottom of the pool, because it will put you in a too flat of a position. When you're in a too flat position, you won't be able to leverage your lat and chest muscle fully. Imagine like you're doing a pull-ups. If you're too flat, you will be overworking your shoulders, and we don't want that. We want to make our stroke as powerful as possible, but also as easy as possible. So we want to leverage our big muscles. Then try to keep also your hip and your heels close to the surface. We want to let only our heels to come out of the water, because if it will be more, the whole foot comes out of the water, it means that you're kicking the air. And there's no scientific proof that kicking the air will actually make you faster. Another important tip here about body position that I want to add is about your gliding arm. So when you enter in the water, try to keep your arm in line with your shoulders. It will point straight forward. Because again, if you lift your arm up when you glide, your legs will go down. And if it will be too low, not only it will create extra resistance, because it's not going to be very straight like an arrow pointing straight forward, but also you will lose a small chunk of your catch, which is actually a very crucial mistake. So always try to keep a balance where your arm points straight forward in line with your shoulder. You look just slightly ahead of you when your head doesn't breathe and doesn't move, and then you try to stay kind of high on the surface, but just slightly inclined. And before the third reason, which is actually the most common thing that I see when people do video stroke analysis inside our app, I want to tell you that if you personally want to send me a video for me to review and to receive at least 15 minutes of a deep analysis of the way how your stroke works, what's right, what's wrong, and what your next step should be, you can download our Swim Success training app and you can send the video right there. You can just film it on your phone, ask your friend, or just put it on a blog and swim a few laps, and it will be more than enough. I can tell you that 80% of our people, they just film it not on an underwater fancy camera, but just on their phone, and they send it. It's more than enough. Link will be in the description, and let's go to the third reason. And the third problem, which actually is one of the most interesting ones, because it happens to people who already have kind of good kicking, but they still feel something is off. And even mentioned myself as an elite swimmer with a good technique. Sometimes it happens to me too when I don't pay attention to it. And I'm talking about your lower body rotation. Because when you do not breathe, when your body stays flat, you have a very good upward and downward kicking, which doesn't cause any troubles. But as soon as it's time to breathe for you, you rotate your hip exactly the same amount as your shoulders, which makes your kicking go sideways. First of all, it doesn't create extra propulsion like we want to. What worse is, when you rotate too much, your lower body starts to sink much faster. And for example, when I swim myself, I can always notice it because when I start to breathe, I feel immediately my hips start to sink. And I question why it's happening. And most of the times it happens for two reasons with me. First reason is that I'm just slightly over-rotating because I'm not engaging my core enough. And the second reason is when I get tired, I start to rotate more naturally because I want to take a longer breaths. So try to prevent it by engaging your core all the time. You don't want to keep your lower body loose because it will be like a tail wiggling behind and it will create extra resistance. We want to be like a bullet train going straight forward. But also, we want to rotate our hip slightly less than our shoulders. If you're going to rotate your hip the same amount as your shoulders, you will definitely over-rotate because our shoulders have to move freely. One shoulder goes out of the water, the other one stays in. And we want to keep our armpit dry. But if you do exact same angle of rotation for your hip too, it will be completely in the lateral position. And your legs will spread automatically, and that's what we call a scissor kicks, just to prevent sinking of the hip. And you think it will help you, but in reality, it will make your body to sink even more because you will lose the speed. Imagine when you swim, you're cutting through the water. But if your legs are spread out, they become like an anchor because they create extra resistance. They stop in water. So it's just counterintuitive. So when you breathe, lock your hips slightly more and don't let it rotate too much because at the end of the day, we want to kick always downward and upward. And I want to add one very small secret tip that not many people know, and it will help you to fix your body position and will allow you to stay higher on the surface so your legs won't sink at all. And I'm talking about the way how you should keep your head position when you breathe. Of course, we all know that we want to keep our head as horizontal as possible when we breathe. But if you try to do that, if you try to keep this one goggle rule where you keep one goggle in the water and the other one above, you will definitely swallow water. So how does elite swimmers still make it work? And the answer here is simple. They try to keep their head very horizontal, but when they breathe, they just lifting their chin up. Imagine like you're drinking a hot soup and you have a liquid in your mouth and you try to move it around just to cool it off. The same movement with our chin we do when we breathe every time. It's a weird tip, but it will allow you to keep your head just by 2 centimeters lower. But in reality, those 2 centimeters will allow you to keep your legs for 5 centimeters higher in the water. And your body, because of that, will create much less resistance. And again, it's a very easy tip and it will take you like 2 training sessions to implement and to get used to it too. So to summarize, the most 3 main reasons why your legs are sinking. First one, your ankles are not flexible, so you have to do a daily stretching. At least a few times a week would work. The second reason is that freestyle is all about the balance. You want to keep your head very low when you breathe. You want to keep back of the head always dry when you do not breathe. You want to glide properly, and you don't want to lift your feet too much out of the water, otherwise you'll be kicking the air. And the last reason is your hip rotation, where you should try to rotate your hip just slightly less than your shoulders. And if you want to try to train like a professional who prepares for Olympics, you can also download our app and try the most adaptive training plans in the world. And inside you will get your first 7 days completely for free. Link will be in the description, and thanks for watching.